know those photos where the background is just slightly blurred out, it's nice and soft, but then you have your main subject that's in super sharp focus? Well, whether you're shooting with an iPhone or a fancy camera, I'm going to teach you how to achieve that look. Hi guys, it's your girl Sin here and welcome back to my weekly photography series. Today we are talking all about getting that beautiful bokeh background. So whether you're shooting portraits or product or food photography, if you are into this topic, pretty please hit that subscribe button down below and let's get right into it. So the goal is to keep your subject in focus while everything else is just slightly blurred out. And we can achieve this in two different ways. The first is the positioning of your subject, and two, aperture. So the first one is easy. You basically want to position your subject further away from the backdrop and closer to the camera. This way you're creating depth and space. Here's a quick example. I'm going to place these two Blurry overnight oats right up against my wall. See how everything is in focus? Now watch when I pull one further away from the wall towards my camera. See how suddenly the background becomes more blurred out, creating more of a beautiful editorial look. Okay, so the next setting we need to talk about is aperture. And let me tell you, once you get the hang of this, it is a total game changer. No wait, it is a life changer. This setting will literally take your photos from basic to pro in no time. So aperture basically controls two things. Number one, how much of your image is in focus, and number two, how much light is able to enter through the lens, affecting the brightness of your image. If you have one of the newer iPhone models, or you have a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, go ahead and bust it out and I will teach you how to adjust the aperture setting. So open up your camera, tap portrait mode. You'll get a notification if you're too close and need to move further away. Now at the top right hand side, hit the letter F. And as a default, you'll see the f-stop number is at 4.5. Now the aperture scale is represented in a series of F numbers, which is why you see the F on the upper right hand side. And F stands for focal length. Now the best way to learn about any type of setting is to play with it. So let's drag our f-stop to the left. As you can see, your background will get blurrier and blurrier the lower your number gets. Although the one knock about shooting with such a low f-stop on the iPhone is that it doesn't always pick up everything I want, especially when I'm shooting something in glass. So definitely be mindful about that. Now let's go the other way and bring up our f-stop. See how everything in our scene becomes more visible? Now the iPhone has some other pretty cool settings you can play around with in here, like the stage light, where your subject is lit against a deep black background. And if we zoom all the way in, you can see how our entire subject is in focus because we shot this at the highest setting, f16. So shooting at a high f-stop number is great for landscapes, for overhead shots, because you want everything in your photo to be in focus. Unless of course you're going for something super creative, then you do you. You go for it. You let that creativity shine. Okay, so we're gonna switch gears for a moment here. Let's take out our DSLR or mirrorless camera. I'm using the Sony a7R III and I'm gonna switch that into full manual mode. And I mean, who doesn't love control, right? I'm talking about photography, obviously. Go ahead and find your aperture setting in your camera. I'm gonna take some pics at different apertures and put them on my laptop. Okay, so let's take a look at a few images together, shall we? These photos are all taken at different apertures, while leaving my shutter speed and ISO the same. The main thing that you have to remember about the f-stop is that they are inverse values, which means that similar to a fraction, the larger the number is, the smaller the diameter opening, letting in less light, resulting in a darker image. Now it's kind of hard to tell here, so let's brighten this last image up. When you compare these two images side by side, you can clearly see that the one taken at a higher f-stop at 7.1 has way more in focus, while the other one taken at f2.8 has a much more blurred out background. Now remember, there's no right way or wrong way to take these, it all depends on the look you're going for. Okay, so other ways you can compensate for light is by adjusting your shutter speed and your ISO. If you watched my previous video on how to shoot on your iPhone like a pro, I go over two of these settings. But I'll save shutter speed and ISO for another day, So definitely stay tuned, and if you guys feel super inspired by what you saw today or what you learned today, to go out there and take some photos, be sure to tag me on Instagram. I'm at Cineats. I would love to see it. And if you guys learned something new today, I'd really appreciate it if you guys hit that subscribe button, let me some love in the comments. And with that, I will see you guys next week to continue our weekly Flip Shark series. Bye!